Hey everyone, this is Johnny, and welcome to episode 98 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. I'm here today with Meghan Faye. How you doing?
Hi, Johnny. I'm good. How are you?
Doing very well. So Meghan is a certified personal trainer. She's also living out here in Chiang Mai, Thailand. So I'm kind of curious how she's managing this kind of offline business online as a digital nomad, because traditionally personal trainers were people who deal with health and nutrition and fitness are usually offline. But mainly, I wanted her on because I read her About Me page and I was really fascinated. So welcome to the show, Meghan.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Very good. Where are you actually from originally?
I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, so the East Coast. And I moved here about 2 months ago, a little over 2 months ago. So I'm brand new here. I've been to Thailand twice before. This is my third time, and I'm staying for the time being.
Really? Okay, cool. So this is like your new home base?
Yes.
And what made you choose Chiang Mai out of all places?
Well, my dad lives here. So I came to Thailand a few times because my dad he retired. He was traveling the world and going to teach English. So he came here to learn English, or to teach English. Came to Chiang Mai to learn English. And he happened to meet a woman who lives in Bangkok. And they had this very romantic story, fell in love. Neither of them were looking for a person, and they just found each other. And they got married, and he lives in Chiang Mai now. Built a house for her for when her kids grow up, and she moves from Bangkok to Chiang Mai. So right now he's living in a house that he built here alone, and I was at home, and I was going to transition from my desk job where I was I worked for a nonprofit educational organization, and I just read textbooks and corrected English and formatting all day long. So in school I got a degree in English Lit, and then worked as a copy editor from the time I was like a teenager. And so that's all I'd ever done. And I'd gotten so into fitness, and it became such an important part of my life in the last several years, like 4 years, that people just kept saying to me I should become a personal trainer. And I was like, oh yeah, whatever, thanks. I just thought it was a nice thing to say, but I realized that I probably should. There's a lot of money to be made in personal training, and people are making a lot of money, and they're making it online. It does sound weird for people who aren't familiar with it, because you're used to going to a gym, meeting a personal trainer, and they physically show you how to perform exercises and everything. But what I found, like on Instagram and YouTube, those kinds of social media are breeding these people who have huge followings and who then create products that people will buy because they then see that these people have expertise or something that they want.
And I've seen that, especially when it comes to the fitness industry, if you can use yourself as the model, whether you're a guy or a girl.
Yes.
And people like to scroll through photos and get inspired.
Yes.
This Fitspo is a huge hashtag.
It is huge. And people are just making lots of money. And the thing for me is, it's not about money necessarily. I'm not after becoming rich. That's not why I'm here in Chiang Mai and working online. I think I will become rich. I think that's going to happen eventually, but that's not why. I really wanted to do something that I'm really passionate about. And I think that with fitness, and with particularly my angle, I'm really passionate about it, and I think it's going to be super, super rewarding. I'm very excited about it because my story and my journey into fitness is a little different from a lot of people's, and I really want to make that my focus. I came from a very, very dark past, and it's only very recently, within the last few years, that I have really come out the other side, and with no real exaggeration, it feels like I have come out of hell. And I lived in hell for so long, and coming out of the other side, really not thinking that that was possible. And now I've emerged out of a living hell of, you know, depression, abuse, PTSD, anxiety, low self-worth, everything you can think of pretty much. I've dealt with in my life. And coming out of the other side, it's just such a powerful feeling that I need to help other people. It's, you know, I think it comes with the territory of when you go through something and then you come out of a dark place. I think a lot of the times it's just an automatic feeling of wanting to go back and reach to those people who are still there and say, like, and guide them out. Say, this is, you can overcome, you can conquer your demons.
And, you know, that quality about you is so incredible, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted you to be here.
Oh, thank you.
You know, I almost think of it as, you know, on a softer scale, it would be like crabs in a barrel, right? And that barrel could be, you know, it could be just a boring hell, or it can be this vicious, dark, abusive hell.
Yes.
And either way, once people, you know, they summon the courage to climb out, they have two choices. They can either go back and try to help the other crabs escape, or they can never look back and say, you know, let's pretend that never existed.
Yeah. And you bring up a good point. It doesn't have to be, you know, the kind of people I want to help, and the kind of people who I think will identify with my story are not necessarily people who have been through the worst stuff. I think they will, and I want to be able to help those people. But a lot of people live lives of a quiet hell, like, you know, quiet, boring hell, where they just almost don't even know, you know, what they're missing. And when they do something like, you know, quit their job, sell all their stuff, and move to Thailand, then they go, oh my gosh, I can't believe that was my life before. I can't believe I actually sat at a desk all those hours for so many years. That's kind of how I'm feeling, even though I've just been here for like 2 months. Even a few weeks into it, I had this feeling of, I can't believe I did that for so long. And it was just a few weeks ago that I was doing it. And it seemed so far away, and so just such a distant thing.
I think when we're in that world and everyone else around us is doing that, it seems so normal.
Yes.
And we get comfortable, you know, or we start buying things to make us comfortable.
Yeah.
And that can either be, you know, fast food, it can be online shopping, it can be, you know, offline shopping, go to the malls, or just, you know, doing things that like kind of just get us by. But I think it was the same thing when I first came to Thailand. Within, I think, 2 weeks, I realized, what am I doing with my life back home?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it was, you know, it wasn't that bad, you know, like, but it was my own little boring hell.
Yeah. And good is the enemy of the great, you know, of the best. You can, if you have something that's sort of like, it's not bad, it's fine, then you really have a hard time breaking free of that. And that's why I stayed. Well, one of the reasons I stayed in my job, and it wasn't horrible. There were so many things that I liked about it. And I thought it was sort of like what I should be doing. You know, that's kind of a standard thing. A lot of people do what they do because they think they should. And it was just sort of fine. I got a paycheck and I could live, and I, you know, just did my thing. I got a week between Christmas and New Year's, and that really, like, that week was one of the reasons I stayed in that job for so long. I was just like, but they give you a week between New Year's and Christmas, and that meant everything. But, you know, now it's just like, that seems so sad.
Yeah, especially when you can take a week between any month.
Yeah, I can take naps anytime I want now. I just take a nap in the middle of the day. Yeah, that's the good stuff.
I like it. So I was reading your bio, and if anyone who wants to follow along, it's meghanfaye.com.
Yes, please check out meghanfaye.com.
Yeah, I'll make sure I put a link to it in the notes too. It's episode 98. But yeah, here, I mean, you're very open, like the very first line, you say, "Hi, I'm Meghan. I'm a certified personal trainer who has fought my way out of a living hell of depression, PTSD, and self-destruction to become a bona fide badass with a beautiful life."
Yeah, that's me. I want to, someone asked me before I launched my site and had all of my ideas down, like my branding and everything, and my bio, I was asked, how open do you want to be about your struggles? And I just thought, I want to be totally open, because I'm not ashamed. I think there was a time when I really was, a long time, I was ashamed of all the things that I'd been through and that comes with abuse as a kid. Sadly, there's so much shame that comes along with it. And our brains tend to convert things into being our fault, because it's just easier to deal with that than, my caregivers are not taking care of me. And that's a scarier world to live in than like, I'm bad and, this is my fault. So I was ashamed before, but now through all the work that I've done, I'm not. And I believe so strongly that sharing my story will help other people. So I just want to have people look at me and go, oh, she can do it, I can do it. Because one of the things, like, if I feel self-conscious sometimes, even now, like at the gym or whatever, I'll be at the gym and let's say there'll be a woman there, and I feel like I work out really hard. I make noises and I lift heavy things and I sweat. And I worry that they might look at me and go like, oh, look at her. She thinks, I don't know what I think they think, but I feel self-conscious about it. And then I think about like, oh, well, I'm not this person who's just like, yeah, I want to go to the gym and be strong and be badass. And I just want to, it's not sort of a self-aggrandizing thing. I came from this dark place, and this is my triumph, and this is my strength. And I want people to know that that's where I came from, because I think it gives, and people will identify with that. I know that when I hear people who are sort of incredible people who have these dark stories, it makes me feel hope, So that's what I guess want other people to feel.
I love it. And I heard a quote once that they said, we can never judge other people because we have no idea what battles they're fighting.
Yes.
And when you kind of go into that deeper, we don't know what happened to them when they were kids, growing up.
Mm-hmm.
We know what happened 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And these battles leave scars.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times they're never even really healed.
Yes.
So if somebody is extremely overweight, or somebody is an asshole,
mm-hmm.
Or somebody is rude, or, they're, whatever's happening, I can, not choose not to be around them, because it's not, necessarily my job to try to heal every stranger I meet.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I try not to judge them, because I know there's probably something going on.
Yeah, I usually see the little kid in people, in adults, in anybody. I go, oh, you were a little kid. And that's however it happened. I don't know. And I'm not going to try to guess, but I just see like a hurt little kid in a lot of people. So yeah, it's definitely true. These things, they stay with you. But yeah, so that's why I wanted to talk about that on my site and have that be a main part of it, because a lot of the fitness things on Instagram and on YouTube, it's look at my booty and look at my 6-pack and look how sexy I look, and that's great, and I think there is an absolute place for that, and looking good is awesome, but I also want to have a place where it talks about the emotional part of working out, because everyone has an emotional, working out is actually really an emotional thing. You have to pull from inside of you when you want to give up, and you're not going to. You have to find strength in you. You have to find something to fight for. You have to find something to fight against sometimes. And that's all really emotional. So I want to make sure that that's an angle that I'm attacking it from. I like
that, because it's so easy to look at someone's Instagram and assume that their life is perfect and they're
yes.
always happy, and they live this amazing like carefree life. And I actually know a girl that I knew her in person before I started following her on Instagram, so I knew what she was like, and she was not really that happy. She wasn't. I didn't know her well enough to know if she was actually depressed, but she was definitely not like a happy person,
right?
She never really smiled. She was never,
mm-hmm.
But then when I started following her on Instagram, I thought, wow, she is like the happiest person in the world. She's always taking photos, like doing cool stuff.
Yes.
You know, and she is a fitness competitor, so she does, I think, bikini competitions. So just, you know, seeing her photos, you would imagine like, wow, she'd be so cool to hang out with.
Yeah.
She's like so energetic all the time, so happy all the time.
Yeah.
But the truth is there's so much more going on that we don't know about.
Absolutely. Yeah. Instagram, something about Instagram in particular is just because it's just those snapshots. It's 1 millisecond out of all of your days. And people are taking, you know, for selfies, like, you know, you take 100 selfies and then you're like, that's the one. And it's so not reality. But it's so easy to believe that it's reality. It's so, even if you have self-awareness and you're like, well, this isn't reality, you still look at it and go like, I want to be that person. No, you don't. That person's just like you. That person, you know, stares in the mirror at themselves sometimes at night and goes, what am I doing? You know, everyone has those moments. Yeah, it's amazing. And yeah, I mean, I wonder what people would think if they looked at my Instagram. But hopefully I try to be Meghan Works, at Meghan Works. I try to be, that's a little sly plug. Try to talk about like my, you know, my struggles and everything on there. But I also want to celebrate. I think at this point in my life it's about celebrating, you know, how far I've come, what I've overcome, and also that I quit my job and moved to Thailand. Like those are really big things for me. It's something we might want to talk about also is how fearful I was about quitting my job and moving and selling all my stuff and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, I would love to hear that. So you were working like a corporate job. How long were you there for?
I was at my job for 7.5 years.
Wow.
Since I graduated college, let's see, at the end of 2007, and it was the beginning of the financial meltdown. Everything was going up in flames, and no one had a job. There were no jobs. It was just like, that was the atmosphere that I went into the job market with. So I had that, and I have super bad anxiety anyway. So when it was given to me, like, well, here you go, you're never going to get a job and there's no money. And, you know, that stayed with me. So I got a job, and I just never left. I just held on to it. And I just went in every day and sat at a desk in a really quiet office and read educational textbooks and corrected grammar and went home. And that's just what I did for 7.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you were like
weird.
in an office setting doing this?
Yeah. And I went into an office and I sat there, and when I first got the job, I thought it was really cool because it was really relaxed, and I could have like bright red hair and like my tattoos, and I had like facial piercings. I had like a lip ring. And so I was like, oh, this is awesome, because I just graduated college. I was 20 years old. And so I was like, that's all I want out of a job, is like a place where I can go and have red hair. And yes, then I just stayed. And then as I got more and more into fitness. Oh, and then also I got married really young, just because all of the things that I had been through as a kid, really tumultuous and really difficult, like childhood, where I grew up really fast.
Can we talk about that?
Getting married?
No,
or childhood?
Your childhood.
Yeah, sure. Let's see. So it's a strange thing, because for my childhood, I grew up in outside of Baltimore in a county called Howard County, which is one of the richest in the country. And I'm not sure where it stands now, but when I was there, it was like number 3 or something in the country of like richest places. And the schools were incredible, and they just all the highest test scores and everything. And it was this strange sort of place where everyone wanted to make it perfect, like appear perfect. And of course, you know, no place is perfect. And there were a lot of, it was just a weird emotionally stifled kind of place. And my situation was that I had, my parents divorced when I was very young. And so I'm very close with my dad, which is one of the reasons, one of the many reasons that I live here with him now, because he's a little older, and I I don't talk to any of really my other family members in the U.S. So when he moved here, I just started thinking, well, I don't really have any ties in the U.S. But so that comes from when I was a kid. I was raised by my mom and my stepdad, and they didn't have a good relationship, and the whole family was kind of just crazy. Most people's families are crazy, but mine was like literally crazy, and we were like kind of like, I don't know, like cops family in a rich house, you know, where it was just like a bunch of yelling and fighting and outrageous behavior and not a lot of love, and we just had a lot of money. So it was a strange place to be, where I was told by people at school, by my parents themselves, by everyone, that I had no reason to be upset. I had no reason to, you know, be sad. I should be grateful. I should, you know, all these things. But it was a very, very conflicting message that I got as a kid. And so I internalized that and just was like, oh, okay, well, I should be happy. Everything's great. You know, I'm smart, I'm talented, and I have friends, and so everything's good. I live in this nice house. Everything's wonderful. But it really wasn't. There was a really dark side to that, and I don't know how dark I can get, but I'm very open about things, but I had an assault when I was 12 years old that kind of spurred a huge decline. So when I was 12 is when personally I started just going down, and you know, I was suicidal at that time. My first suicide attempt was when I was 12, which is insane because that's so young. It's just a little baby.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine
Oh,
that.
sorry. I don't want to get too dark. But,
no, I mean, like, please be as open as you
okay.
like, as you're comfortable.
Yeah. The good news is I'm now, you know, I'm here and I'm happy. But yeah, I had a serious suicide attempt when I was 12, and then it just got worse from there. And I ended up.
Can I ask what happened when you were 12?
Oh, I had a sexual assault. So it's very common for women, and I didn't tell anyone. And I was, you know, I was so young. I just cried a lot, and it was compounded by the fact that my mom handled it very poorly when she noticed that my behavior changed, and she walked in on me. Oh, this is so sad. She walked in on me crying, looking at baby pictures of myself, and then she yelled at me like really like in a very traumatic sort of way. So then I thought that really that moment sealed my fate, probably more than anything. I just thought, well, you really have no reason to be upset. You should never cry again about anything. So then I kind of turned my emotions off, and that, you know, when a person does that, sort of ignores their emotions, it always finds a sneaky way to get twisted around and then come out. So mine was, you know, self-hatred, self-destruction. I started compulsively cutting myself, which was an absolute compulsion. I couldn't help it or do anything about it, which is hard for a lot of people to understand, which I understand. It is very sort of strange human behavior to have, but it's very common for people who are abused. And let's see. I mean, first drinking and alcohol and marijuana, all my bag. So
I'm like so sorry that you went through that.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, I'm just so happy that you're alive today, and that you've, you know, that now you're openly sharing about it, because this is something that people need to talk about.
I agree. It happens way more than people talk about, and I don't mind being a person to talk about it. Like I said, I'm not ashamed. All of these things, if I hadn't fought, maybe I would be ashamed or something like that. But because I have fought so hard to be healthy and to be strong and to be open and all of these things, and undo all the hurt and the damages.
Yes. Yeah, because when you're 12, I can imagine, you know, you're so fragile, you know, not only physically but like emotionally and mentally. And because when I was 12, I had no idea what I wanted, who I was, who I can trust, who I can talk to, and the smallest things seemed like the end of the world.
Oh, it's like you can't understand how big a deal like having a crush see you do something embarrassing is when you're 12. It's the biggest deal in the world. So yeah, to have these sort of traumatic things happen that would be traumatic for an adult, it was a really rough thing. And I didn't talk about it, so I didn't get the proper care or anything.
And is this like, did you have anyone to talk about it? Because it seems like your mom, wasn't handling it well either.
No, my mom. Yeah, my mom didn't. We didn't talk about it. She had the moment where she yelled at me, and that was that. And I thought, okay, well, she's not on my side. And then she proved to be not on my side as the years went on. And my dad, I just thought that I couldn't talk to him. I didn't want him to know. I was his only daughter. I didn't want him to know what was going on. I just thought it would be too painful, which is, it's a strange thing to try to protect a man who's like in his 50s at that time or something. And I'm like, well, no, this would simply hurt him too much. I can't tell him,
I know it would hurt him, like 100%.
It would, but I would change that now. I would, but I don't think I was able to. I just simply don't think I had the ability. And
I think this is a message. I mean, I don't know, who's listening to this. I really doubt there's anyone who's that young listening to this. But, this is a message I want to be out there where if, regardless of your age, regardless of your gender or what happens, like, we cannot be afraid to ask for help.
Absolutely. And if you ask for help and the person you ask doesn't give it to you or responds negatively, ask somebody else. Keep asking until you find what you need. Keep asking until you find that person, because you will find it. So don't stop.
And I promise you,
there's
somebody out there that isn't going to take it personally. I almost feel like the people that don't help, or the ones that blame the victim, are the people that their lives are so messed up themselves that they don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah. And that for my mom, that was one of the things for her. Like she had a terrible childhood, even worse than mine. And for her, she just wasn't able to deal with those kinds of things. And she's really just now starting to be able to deal with like her own problems. And so yeah, that's one of the reasons that I don't speak with that sort of side of the family, just because it's too much. And I think right now I'm at a point where I've grown so much that talking to them just makes me feel like backsliding, like I can't handle this. So yeah, and one day we will talk, I'm sure. I hope.
Well, if anything, I hope she listens to this episode.
That would be crazy. That would be really crazy. Yeah. I feel bad sometimes talking about the reality of my situation, because I don't want to implicate people. But then I just remember, if you didn't want me to have this as my story, then you wouldn't have acted the way you did. It's not my fault.
It's 100% true. And if they were there to talk to you about it, how many years ago was that?
Oh God, 16 now. How old am I? I don't know.
And if they were there to talk to you about it 16 years ago when they should have been, you wouldn't have to be talking about it now.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, that's just not my fault.
Yeah. I mean, 100% it's not your fault.
Yeah.
I mean, especially at that age, like, you have so little control of what other people do, especially as an adult. And that's why things like that should be the most serious crime in the world.
Yes.
Because not only is it you're violating someone who can't fight back, they can't even talk back, but then it really does impact someone's entire life after that.
Oh yeah, their whole life. Absolutely.
Like, it's not like, even if you stole $1 million from someone or a company, that's something that people, like, they can kind of get over and recover from. It doesn't affect like your neurology the way that an assault does on a child or anyone really. But yeah, so yeah, and I want to talk about this because people need to know it happens so much more than people think, like all the time. But people are just so ashamed because it's a built-in mechanism where you feel shame, and it's just so sad. So yeah, people do speak up though, and it takes so much strength. And and I'm so proud.
Amazing.
I'm so proud of all the people that do speak up.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Unfortunately, there's also the people who have never actually been through it, that they somehow decided that it's, you know, it's their motive or job in the world to make these crazy stories up that you hear.
Oh, yeah.
And that completely messes it up for people that have really been through something.
Yeah, that is a really interesting thing. I in a way, I feel bad for those people. Like, why are you doing, like, why do you have to do this? But yeah, I don't know what to say about that. Yeah, it is unfortunate, but I guess people just have to know that most people don't like to blab about the horrible things that happen to them. So if someone oh, never mind. That sounds bad. That sounds like I'm trying to blame someone. But no, just let's see. How should I put it?
I think, you know, like, the way I think of it is, if someone is, you know, is willing to risk their, you know, being put on the spotlight, you know, in this very negative way, because it is, you know, there's a lot that happens when you know, openly talk about something like this, you know, and I do think that, like, the far majority of people, especially, you know, people that it's something that happened to them a long time ago as kids, or if they are a kid, you know, for them to even talk about it is probably such a big deal, you know, and that's why often, you know, people kind of, you know, they almost make it sound like it's not as big of a deal, you know?
Yes.
But in reality, it was huge.
Yeah,
you know?
minimizing, like, oh, you know, it's just this just happened. It's no big deal. It just, you know, and it's like, no, that is a big deal. You know, so yeah, that's something that I had to work through, and yeah, it took me a long time to be able to talk about that, for sure. Definitely.
And so did you have, like, a normal dating life once you know, became, like, a teenager and an adult?
So when I was 16 years old, I got taken out of high school, and in the middle of the night, I got taken by, like, these transporters to a treatment facility, because at that point I was almost kind of dying. I was really malnourished. I was having seizures a lot, and I was drinking all the time and doing drugs all the time.
So at what age did you start drinking and doing drugs?
I started drinking when I was I started drinking a lot when I was probably 13, drinking a lot, like every day. And to 16. And then I stopped drinking at 16 years old, which is super young, because I got taken away, and I went to a long-term treatment facility in Utah, and I lived on a ranch with a bunch of girls and some people who really cared about me a lot and kind of saved my life in a way. And they provided me with the love and support and, you know, just unconditional love that I needed. And so I became a completely different person, and I worked really hard. I started college when I got out. I was there for 7 months, and without a drop of alcohol or cigarettes, which I started smoking immediately after I got out, which is so bad. But because I started smoking when I was like, I don't know, I started smoking a lot when I was 14.
Wow.
When I was younger. But
so the sexual assault, was it like an ongoing thing? Or was it like
no, it was a one-time thing when I was 12. But then when you're a girl, when I was a young woman who was drinking and going out, like, there were a lot of questionable things and situations that, you know, inappropriate things happened where, you know, I was drunk and, like, there were teenage boys and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard to say, but just inappropriate things that kind of messed up, my head. But so this is a good segue. So when I got out of the ranch in Utah, I came back to Baltimore, and I started school. I started college. I found a loophole because I had I could start at the community college as long as I was not enrolled in high school. And I was like, hey, I'm not enrolled in high school, even though I didn't have a GED or a high school diploma. So I started taking classes, and I got my associate's degree. And then I transferred to a state college and got my bachelor's degree. So I have a college degree and no, like, high school diploma or anything.
That's a cool talking point.
It's a strange thing, but it was a complete accident. I wasn't like let me try to, not do this. It was just like I wasn't in high school anymore. So I started college. And yeah, at that point I was just really into working hard, and I thought that I had overcome so much, which I had, but that was my, that kind of gave me a lot of strength. And I was working with other young women who had similar problems. So that was a big deal in my life. Just helping and using my story, kind of like I'm doing now, but in a different way. And then, let's see, my second or third year of college, I was 18, and I met a man who I started a relationship with, who really helped me with my all the like sort of sex issues that I had just because I never was able to be healthy or normal in that way. And so he really helped me a lot with that. And because we had such a strong bond, we got married. He was older. He was like 8.5 years older than I was, and probably a little manipulative and taking advantage of me a little bit. However, helping me a lot. So very complicated. So I got engaged when I was 18, married when I was 20, divorced at 24, cut all that out of the way.
I think in your short lifetime, you've been through more than most people do in 100 years.
It's exhausting, isn't it? It's so exhausting. But yeah, so I took the fast track. I got everything over with. We bought a house together. I lost the house, but anyway, so yeah, I had this relationship where it was really good in a lot of ways because it was very healing. But then he had his own issues, and it affected us. And so I made the decision to leave the marriage. Now, this time I was not drinking, not doing any drugs. I was smoking cigarettes, though, which is a drug, and drinking coffee, another drug, like insane amounts. And I always wanted to get fit, and I always wanted to like be healthy and be, ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to get into boxing because I felt like that was something that made a person really powerful, and I wanted to gain my power. And I had asked my parents to put me in boxing, or my mom, and she just like ignored it. So I just always wanted to get into boxing and fitness and be like a badass, like these chicks in these movies. And but I never could do it because I was just smoking cigarettes in there. That's like the worst thing to do physically. And so when I was pretty depressed, and at the end of my marriage, so I left. And that was really difficult because I had built a life, and I had a husband, even though it was probably not, it was kind of an unhealthy relationship. At the end, he was still my family, and we had 2 dogs that we had rescued, and a cat that we had rescued, and this big house. We bought this giant house that was like my dream home. It had a balcony and a porch, and it had, I don't know, it just skylights and original hardwood floors from the 1920s. It was just gorgeous, and I loved it, and I took such good care of it, and I furnished the whole thing really like curated, like carefully. I just love like design and stuff like that. And I had to leave, and I just had to walk away, and it was so depressing, and I was just like, oh, I lost so much. And so then I got really depressed, and I started drinking coffee all the time and smoking cigarettes. And then there was one time that I mentioned in my origin story where a friend of mine was talking to me, and he said, we were talking about a friend who was super incredibly smart, but super depressed, and would always talk about, like, almost arrogant and depressed, like, I'm so smart and this and that, but I'm so depressed and everything sucks. And my friend said, well, if he's so smart, why can't he figure out a way to be happy? And it just broke through, and I thought, I'm really smart. I can figure out a way to be happy. I have to try. And so that's when I started studying like neurobiology. I studied the science of behavior. I studied science of depression, PTSD, how to heal these things. Any study I could get my hands on. And it turns out there's a lot of information out there. So I quit smoking. I used the book, The Easy Way to Stop Smoking by Alan Carr. I cannot recommend that enough. I don't get paid, but I would just, I smoked so heavily for so long, and this book made me want to stop smoking. It made me hate cigarettes and the smell of it. And I haven't had a craving since I quit.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about that.
4.5 years ago, I quit. So, I never, ever have a craving, have anything, It's not something that you regret doing, quitting smoking. It's not something that you're
No, it's zero.
I wish I hadn't stopped smoking.
I feel so bad about how many people I meet traveling that smoke. And a lot of the times they make the excuse that smoking, that cigarettes are $15 back home. Oh. But here they're like $3. So
why not poison yourself?
Yeah. But I think what they're how they lie to themselves is the actual cost per pack of cigarettes you smoke is probably like 10 times that much if you factor in medical bills when you get older.
Absolutely.
And it's I don't want to be around smokers ever.
Yeah.
I think anyone who and maybe this is me not thinking deep enough, and not thinking about the battles they're fighting, because I don't think anyone smokes just because they want to smoke.
Yeah.
I think there's other things going on in their life.
Well, it's super cool.
Not endorsed by the Chub Like About podcast.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I don't like it. It's but I mean, it's just an addiction. That's all it is. It's an addiction, and I don't judge smokers, I guess, because I was one of them. But I'm telling you, that book is like magic. Anyone listening wants to look it up online. All the reviews are just like, this is amazing. I can't believe it. I didn't think I could quit smoking from a book. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but it happened. So when I quit smoking, I found out that nicotine affects the way that caffeine is used by your body. So people who smoke have to drink twice as much caffeine because of the action that nicotine has on it. And so I was like, oh, I don't need to drink coffee as much. So I just basically cut out coffee because I also have anxiety. And when I researched how to, treat anxiety, it was like, well, stop drinking coffee. No wonder you're anxious all the time. So then I started, when I quit smoking and quit drinking coffee all the time, I had enough physical energy to start working out. And that's when I started working out. And then I just got stronger and stronger. And as I got stronger physically, I got stronger mentally. And, I was working with a counselor also at the same time. So,
well, when you first started working out, did you know what to do? No, did you read a book?
I used videos online. I was doing HIIT workouts.
High intensity interval training. And so I had a little timer, and I would do Tabata, and I would do just high intensity interval training, and I would do full body workouts, push-ups, burpees, all kinds of fun stuff, and stuff that made me feel like a spy or something. I would just go, and at the gym I would look at myself in the mirror, and I'd just be like, this is what a spy would do to prepare, and it just made me feel like badass and powerful. So if anyone doesn't know what a Tabata burpee is, you have to look it up on YouTube, and then you have to actually do it. And there's no excuse why everybody in the world can't do it, because it doesn't require any equipment.
Yes.
It's a complete body weight exercise.
Yes.
All you need is a timer that you can download a free timer on your phone or on your computer, and it only takes 4 minutes.
4 minutes, can give you you'd be surprised how much you can sweat and breathe in 4 minutes if you're doing burpees straight.
So a burpee, if you guys don't know, is basically, actually, you can explain it. You're the fitness trainer.
You start in a standing position, squat down, put your hands on the floor, and jump out into a plank, do a push-up, jump back into a squat position, and jump straight up, and then repeat. So
when you got started, were you able to do the push-up portion of it?
So my push-up, I could do regular push-ups, but not on my knees, but I couldn't go, the depth wasn't there. So I would do push-ups, and I thought they were really good, but compared to the ones that I do now, now my chest touches the floor in a push-up, but then it certainly did. I don't think my elbows were going to 90 degrees, but it was just, that's what I could do at the time, and so that's what I did. And so I've just increased my in all areas of fitness, and then so I started wanting to just get more fit in every way possible. So balance, strength, agility, calisthenics, flexibility. I just wanted to be as physically fit in general as possible. So I don't have I'm not a CrossFitter, and I'm not a power lifter, and I'm not a runner. I'm just kind of as many things as possible. Just a generally badass superhero.
I like it. So I just looked it up. The name Tabata comes from I think it's a Japanese doctor.
Yeah.
Named Dr. Tabata. I couldn't really find his name.
Tabata.
And what it is, it's usually 8 rounds of a 20-second workout with a 10-second break. And
10 seconds goes by fast.
Yeah, and I think from what I remember, I think it was either his study or someone else's study where they took 2 groups of swimmers, of like high level swimmers, and they had one do the normal swim routine, and they had the other group do their Tabata workout where they would do these 20-minute sprints, 10-second rests.
Right.
And that's all they did. Mm-hmm. And after, I don't know, a month, 2 months, or whatever it was, they had them compete. Mm-hmm. And the ones that just did this 4-minute Tabata workout just smoked the other team.
Yeah, it's really incredible. The only drawback is that you have to push as hard as you can during those 20 seconds. And some people can't find it in them if they are just doing it, alone. But I was able to, and I just, it's 20 seconds, and it was just give it all you have. When you want to stop, push through. And that's where the mental rigor comes into working out, and it bleeds into your daily life of just no, I'm going to push through even though I'm uncomfortable. So when you really, really want to give up, just keep going, and then it's over, and then you have 10 seconds, which goes by so
it goes
quick.
by so fast.
Yeah.
Especially I think once you get into even the third round,
yeah,
you take 2 breaths and the 10
yeah,
seconds is
yeah,
up.
it's crazy.
So I just looked it up. It's Professor Izumi Tabata, and the initial study was with Olympic speed skaters, so not swimmers. And basically they measured all the results of people's VO2 max and all the different gains, and the Tabata HIIT training came out on top.
Yeah, so this is great for people who don't have time to work out. That's I think the number one reason people give for not working out is they don't have time. They can't find the time. It's not convenient. I have the kids, anything. But this is 4 minutes, and anyone has 4 minutes. So you can do this kind of exercise. You just have to find that push, that fight in you, and just put on some rap. That's all you need to do.
I like it. Some gangster rap, a Tabata timer.
Yeah.
And that's all you need.
And a
4
floor.
minutes.
A floor. And gravity will help you.
I like it. So on your site, MeghanFaye.com, if someone clicks work with me, what actually happens?
So right now, because I just launched my site, so I'm in the very nascent stages of this. I have, right now you can sign up for my work with me deal, which is you will sign up, and then when I have my my coaching products available, you will be the first to know, and you will have special discounts. So please do that. Sign up there, and I will hook you up with some deals. But eventually, hopefully soon, what will happen is I'm going to have a few different types of products. So one-on-one coaching will be available, and one-on-one coaching, if you're in Chiang Mai, I can do in person, and then online. So through video, Skype or even Facebook has video options, and I will coach you through. I will, do assessments and make sure we design a plan specifically for you and your goals, because a lot of trainers have options out there that aren't customized and personal at all. So, and then I'll coach you through. We'll have 1, 3, and 6 month plans, and then I'm hoping to have at least one e-course available very soon. I want to do an e-course for just how to get started on the journey of being a badass warrior. So if you have never started before, you never worked out, you don't know the first thing about it. This will teach you not only how to work out properly in the best, the most effective ways to do it, and the most fun and exciting ways, but it will coach you through nutrition as well. So, and all the soul, mindset, sort of emotional stuff as well will be a huge part of that. So it's targeting and strengthening all areas of the person, the whole human being, so that you can grow in strength in your mind, body, soul, all of that. Because I believe that it's all one thing. I believe that there's not a real difference between mind, body, and soul. It's just all one blob.
I definitely agree with that. And
Yeah.
I actually remember I met this guy named Kai, this New York guy that looked more like someone out of a one of those like warrior movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I met him down in Koh Tao, one of the islands, and we went to the same gym, and he was shredded.
Mm-hmm.
He would walk around with 6-pack every day.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, like, what's your secret to being in such good shape? And he said, just be happy. And I was so angry.
Yeah.
Thinking like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, can you just tell me what your diet is, what your workout
Yeah.
routine is? And he said he's like, no, really, if you're happy, everything else comes naturally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's happiness and loving yourself. I think that's a kind of a gross term for a lot of people. Like, ew, loving yourself. Like, what is this? Ugh, what does that mean? But really loving yourself and taking care of yourself when you have that respect for yourself and you love your life, you want to take care of yourself. It does come naturally, I think.
Yeah, and at least it becomes so much easier. And and it stays easier, keeps it easier to be on track. Mm-hmm. Because I think, especially in this day and age, everyone kind of knows what to do. And it might not be the best in the world, but they kind of know, like,
yeah, everyone knows you shouldn't eat fried food all the time, and don't eat bacon and donuts all the time, and don't sit on your ass all the time.
They know that they should do some kind of workout, whether it's not, whether it's the best plan for them individually. I almost think that even if they took the worst workout plan, but they followed it consistently, they'd still be in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
I think what happens is people don't see results. They have other things happening in their life. They have this baggage. They have, body image issues. Mm-hmm. They have trauma in the past,
Yeah, it's very complicated. Yeah, it's a very complicated thing. And people, they have one bad experience with a coach that made them run, and they just were humiliated and hated it. Now they don't like to exercise for the rest of their life. And, and on. So, yeah, that's kind of the stuff that I want to address and make people aware of too, because it's amazing how people know what to do and they just can't do it. And the brain is really good at coming up with excuses, so people can feel really comfortable with their choice to not work out or to eat poorly. The brain just loves to come up with that. It's fine, for all these reasons. But my goal is just to show people that their life can be so much fuller and richer and better when they take care of themselves. It's so much better. And especially for traveling, travel like a boss, you want to be in good shape. You want to be able to carry your bags and walk through like airports and, all that stuff that, that I certainly take for granted now. Some people are like, oh, it's just exhausting.
Yeah. And not even just carrying the bags, but I feel like when I'm in good shape, when I'm in peak shape, I enjoy life more. I enjoy traveling more.
Yes, because you can do more. You don't get that tired feeling at the end of the day when you walk around a city all day long and then you're just like, I've never been so tired in my life. You just go like, oh, that was a fun day. My feet hurt a little. Yeah, but it's a way better life. It's just life opens up a lot when you are physically. It's just easier to live life in a body that's healthy.
I think this is perfect timing because this is kind of the end of the year.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to, it's okay if you want to coast over Christmas, maybe even over New Year's, but it's good that people start thinking about this now,
yes.
Start having a plan for the new year.
Mm-hmm.
And I really firmly believe that every single person listening to this can benefit from being in great shape.
Absolutely.
I really think that everyone's life would be happier. It'll probably strengthen the relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You'll probably enjoy traveling more. You enjoy doing things more.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really no reason not to.
Absolutely. Yeah. There are almost no negative side effects to, to like starting an exercise program and eating healthier. And the laundry list of benefits is almost never ending. So yeah, and I will have, I'm going to be writing a series on, goal setting and, achieving goals and staying on top of them in the new year. So look out for that on my blog as well.
I like it. So I really feel like, anyone listening to this who either yourself or, someone who's been through, a lot, and you have other reasons, and your reason isn't just, I don't have time to work out, I don't know where to start. You have a deeper reason that you really want to connect with someone that cares. I really think that Meghan is, the trainer to reach out to, because it sounds like, obviously you've been through so much yourself, and you're so open about it that if someone, wants to do a Skype session with you and they want to, the first session just talk about what's been holding them back, why they're emotional eaters, or why they can't stand to see themselves in the mirror, why they feel uncomfortable at the gym. I think just by talking to you about that and having you help them set goals and motivate them and keep them on the right track, I think that's invaluable.
Absolutely. I agree. And yeah, I'm the person to do it with, for sure.
I like it a lot. So this has been an intense episode.
I hope it wasn't too dark. I thought like, oh gosh, because I'll just talk about, anything. I don't have a problem. So if you let me go, I'll go. So yeah, I hope that this was a valuable podcast for your listeners. Yeah, super
valuable. Just, like the fact that you went through hell, you clawed your way through it, and you still ended up graduating from college, becoming a certified personal trainer, still ended up having, normal, semi-normal relationships. Yeah. And the fact that you're traveling and you're starting this business, that really shows that no matter what has happened in your past, there's probably someone whose life or past has been even worse, and like 10 times worse, 100 times worse. And we really don't have any excuses because we can move on.
Yeah, just keep moving forward. It does. Even when you're so tired and you think that time and time again you've tried and you've always failed, just keep going, because there will be a point where you will not fail. And I tell you, the feeling you get when you overcome darkness like that is so much more deep than a sort of quote normal person could feel. The high is so much higher when you've reached such devastating lows.
Oh, I truly believe that. I think that people who grew up with these picture perfect lives that never really had to struggle with anything, they can, their happiness level can be whatever percent, right? But I don't think that they know how to appreciate things as much.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think also having messed up childhoods or just struggling, and it doesn't have to be a messed up childhood. It could even be like a competitive childhood, maybe either through sports or through whatever. I think it builds character. Oh yeah, definitely. I used to, like I said, I used to be ashamed, but then I realized that most of the people I look up to the most and most of the people who are the strongest had unideal childhoods or life situations. And I thought, oh, some of the best people in the world had it rough. And then I that was part of what I realized, like, oh, I shouldn't be ashamed. This is a not a blessing, but this is something that's making me stronger, for sure. Yeah, 100%. And you have absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. Like where you are today, like it's incredible. You're smart. You're well spoken. You're beautiful. You're business minded. You have so much going on for you. Thank you. I'm blushing. Yeah, I'm really proud, and I'm so excited to for my future. Maybe in like a year or two, you can have me back on the podcast, and I'll tell you about how rich and successful I am. I like it, and it sounds like that ranch that rescued you. When you were 16, that made a huge impact in your life. Yeah. Can you tell me the name of that place? That was called Falcon Ridge Ranch. And now it is completely different from when I went. When I went, it was this little like schoolhouse in a little ranch house. And now it's this big operation. And it's wild. But it sounds like, an organization that we should support.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was run by a bunch of Mormons, and they were the nicest, sweetest people who were non-judgmental and just wanted to help. And they did their job, and they loved me when I couldn't love myself. And yeah, they made a huge impact on me.
I absolutely love that. And I'm looking at the site now. It's falconridgeranch.com, and it's boarding school for young women.
Yeah, I probably had most of those girls didn't have as many problems as I did. I think I was a little bit of a rough one for them. But yeah, they did a good job with me anyway.
Okay, I like that. I'm going to take a look at the website after this, and maybe there's some way that we can help support them or donate to them, because it sounds like they're doing a really great thing.
Yeah.
Also, I do want to talk about how I'm a firm believer in, and I think the reason why I like talking about these things and not just bottling up or just pretending they never existed is, a big part of me wants to support these companies like Falcon Ridge so much. Mm-hmm. But what I really, really wish in this world and really hope for is for these things not to happen in the first place.
Right.
So, so we don't have to fix people,
Yeah.
And here's the unfortunate thing is, for someone to do such a vicious thing, especially to a 12-year-old person, they have their own demons in their life that cause them to do that, and maybe if that person had support when they were growing up and they didn't go through their traumas, if they had a more stable family, or if they had their own counselors, or they had hope in their lives, or maybe they needed psychological help, in the US, and around the world, there's such a big mental health issue.
Oh, yes.
And then we just don't talk about it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely true. Yeah, mental health is it's like a weakness, and it's all in your head. It's not real. That's the way it's seen. And I agree. Everyone who is victimized by someone, that person was a victim themselves. It's just, that's the way it works. And it doesn't excuse behavior by any means, but it definitely, it's a powerful reminder that, that we need to take care of each other.
Yeah. And, what you said was exactly right, is it's not an excuse for people to do anything. Mm-hmm. But for us to help the most amount of people. Yeah. And prevent things like this happening in the future, mm-hmm. We have to understand people's problems, and we either need to help cure them, we need to prevent more people like that from becoming predators in the first place, mm-hmm. Or if we could, we can move them to another planet, or if we had the death sentence, but these are I'm all about helping people heal, but I really, really, really firmly want to drive in the fact that we need to prevent these things in the first place, because it causes so much damage to people's lives.
It just ripples everywhere, reaches out so far, generations, so.
Yeah. And the thing is, if your mom didn't have such a hard childhood, she would, first off, she would at least be able to hear you, mm-hmm. and when you needed help, and not react the way she did.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's absolutely true.
So what we can do is we can stop it in our generations, mm-hmm. And by doing what you're doing, and become speaking about it, overcoming it, setting a good example, this is where it stops. Yeah.
That is definitely my goal. Is this? It stops with me, for sure. It stops with me.
I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show.
I'm so glad that you have me on. Thank you so much.
So if you guys want to get in touch with Meghan, please go to meghanfaye.com. That's MEGHANFAY.com. If they want to follow you on social media, where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram at Meghan, MEGHAN Works, WORKS. So that's where you can follow me to see how amazing my life is in split-second frames.
I love it. And as you guys know, this is episode 98, which means we're almost at episode 100, which is going to be a special episode for and by you guys, the listeners. So thank you guys for all your support over the years. If you go to travellikeabosspodcast.com and click on 100th ep, you're going to see a little form where you can submit a voice recording. You can either record it on your phone and just email it in, or you can just click the button and record it there. And, basically you can be on the show. You can say your name, where you're from, what you're up to, and you can either ask a question to be answered on the show, or you can say how this podcast or any of these episodes have impacted you. So please go there, because I would love to hear from everybody. And that's it. So thanks again to Meghan, and see all of you next week. Happy holidays. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.